Today, I'm going to be updating my reading journals for the third quarter. Hey guys, I'm Tracy and I want to welcome you back to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. And yes, I'm going to be updating the third quarter and my reading journal and my magical readathon journal. Now, when I say updating the third quarter, I do not keep quarterly stats. I only keep monthly stats, but I am behind. I have not updated my stats or even my reading log or anything, even reviews for July, August, or September. So yeah, that's what I meant by saying I have to update the third quarter. I have been on point when it comes to setting up my reading journal for the upcoming month. And that's because I've been doing a lot of fun readathons and things like that. And that just gets me excited and makes me motivated to create these monthly spreads. Plus, I get to set a TBR, which gives me guidance for what books to read in the month. But as far as going back and adding all the stats, I've been struggling. Now, I do Storygraph on my phone, so that's where I give my ratings, and sometimes I do reviews and things of that nature. So I am keeping up with a lot of this stuff somewhere. It's just not in my journal. So I do want to go ahead and update that. I like to try to keep it updated at least quarterly if I can't do it every month. And then, like I said, I have my magical readathon journal here because in the month of September, we did the autumn equinox, which I have completed. So I am ready to update this as well. And I'm like, let's just do it all on camera. The other thing I'm going to do as part of today's video is I had the forethought to actually share a video of me printing out my book covers. So I will insert that video into this one momentarily. But yeah, these are all the books that I have read, I think over the last month and a half, because I have printed some book covers before that. But basically what I have done is in the back of my reading journal, I have these measurements in here for the height of the book covers for certain things. So for my gallery wall, it's 1.2 inches. For my buzzword, it's 1.2 inches. And then for my goober, it's only 1 inch. And then I didn't do the other ones. I think it's like 1.5 for my reading reviews. But it really doesn't matter because they aren't like in a line. They're just kind of scattered on the page. So they can be different sizes. But I have that little cheat sheet. I highly recommend having a cheat sheet because even if you print things every single month, it is amazing how much you forget. What was it? Was it 1.25, 1.5? So yeah, that's what I have that for. So yeah, I went through and I sized all of these down. I used Google Docs because on my MacBook, I do not have Microsoft Office, and that's what I was using. So when I insert the video, it's going to be using a Google Doc. Sometimes people will just directly put it into Canva and other types of resources as well. But I haven't seen people do it in Google Docs, so I figured that was a good way to share it with you. The other thing I printed this out on sticker paper, but I did not run it through my Cricut or anything. I figured these are just rectangles. I can just cut it by hand or with the cutter. As part of the magical readathon, we rescued pets as far as how many pages we read as a group, and these are all the pets we rescued. And beings like a G and her fiance, they went through all of this to draw all of these images. I figured I'm gonna print them out and slip them in my journal. So that's what I did. So we'll go through that as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and insert the video for me showing you how I did this. It won't take very long, I promise. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this while we're doing that. All right, guys. So first, let's talk about book covers. Now, in this example, I am going to Amazon because I already had the platform open because I was doing a little shopping. But when you go to Amazon, you do have different covers based on the format. You do want to use the Kindle version for your covers because those are just going to be regular rectangle images. They're not going to be anything fancy or distorted or anything like that. And they're going to be very similar to what you will find on Goodreads or even a regular Google image. What you do is you click on the image so it comes up in a pop-up. Now I'm talking about Amazon only, but you click on it so it comes up as a pop-up, and then you right-click it, the image, the pop-up image, and you scroll down to copy. Then you go back to your document, whatever you're using, whether it be Google Docs Word, or even Canva, and then you just right click in the document and go to paste. So that's all you do. You don't have to save it. You don't have to download it or anything like that. You can just copy and paste. Now for my dimensions, for Google Documents, I just double clicked and it opened up the sidebar where I can edit the actual image. And in this case, I just wanted to change the dimensions. I made sure that the dimensions were locked and not unlocked, because if they're locked, then I can change the height and the width would automatically change. If it was unlocked, then if I changed the height, the width would not automatically change and it would be distorted. So you want it where when you change the height, the width automatically changes. And I just changed the height to what I need it to be. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments. All right. So now I didn't cut everything out individually. I just cut them in rows. Some of these I'm reading currently, but I like to fill up an entire page when I print it. So I just went ahead and printed out the ones I think I'm going to finish this month as well. The other tools I have is I have this little mini photo album thing that I put all of my reading stamps in here so that way I can find them. They're just a lot easier to find. So I have those because I might use that for my reading reviews. We'll chat about the reading reviews. Then in this little train case I got from Jane's Agenda with the plastic still on the top. I don't know why I haven't done this. This is my reading journal kind of stuff. This goes in here as well. It's just I've been thinking about maybe stamping this in my swatch book, but I don't know if I am or not. But I have all of the markers that I already have been using in my reading journal. I wanted to keep them here, which is a great idea. But then some of these colors might be nice to use as part of my everyday spreads, and they're in here. And I forget that they're in here. Plus I have stickers. I don't think I'm going to be using any of these, but I have like star ratings and things like that. So maybe we'll bring them out. I don't know. I haven't used them in a while, so that might be a good time to do it. But yeah, I like having all of the things from my reading journal in one little location, and the train case fits perfectly. And then I have my scratch paper that I got from Storygraph. I didn't get the scratch paper. I wrote down all the stats, so I didn't have to pull out my iPad or my computer while I'm doing this. Okay, so let's go through this first. I am so far behind. By the way, I think did I do a walkthrough of this or an update at some point? I can't even remember, but let's just do an update now. If I've done one, then great. We get two. This can be ignored. Okay. This was such a great idea. Toward the end of last year, when I was doing my ratings, I realized that I really wanted to do ratings that were a little bit more in depth than saying this felt like a 5 or this felt like a 4.5. I wanted to put more thought into it. So I had this acronym that helped me remember what it was. So basically I wanted to give a rating based on the style, the plot, the intrigue. How much intrigue did I have? Did I want to put the book down? The characters and my overall enjoyment. Basically, I gave that a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. And then I added that up, divided by 5, and I got my score. I stopped doing this a long time ago. Okay. It was great because it was great. It was something I really enjoyed. I don't know what happened last year. Last year, I guess I was just on a roll toward the end of the year or something, because this was how I was doing my reviews. But like I said, right now, I haven't even been doing reviews at all. So yeah, I've just gone back to how am I feeling? And then I was going to do a spice rating with how spicy the book was. And I had this really cool, little rating, mild, medium, hot, and extra. And then kind of gave my definitions for it. Yeah, I haven't been doing that either. Mainly because it's what books do I do that for? What's the threshold that I need to start rating them? So I just don't do that. So basically, it's just kind of like this. 5-star, would I reread it? 4-star, is it a page turner, but maybe not a reread? Third, it was just 3-star, just okay. Okay, let's chat about this. I don't have any idea. Finish 3 series? I don't think so. Complete 3 challenges? I don't know. I think I've done this one, and I've done the readathons. I think the challenges are going to be at the end of the year. But we do need to update my reading goals. So what I'm going to say really quick this is my gallery wall. So I only have a few more books I need to put on here. I'm going to go ahead and do this first because this is really going to help me out when it comes to remembering what books go next. This is kind of the key for everything, because even though I have a bookshelf here, this is just easy for the visual. So I'm going to try to find, I think they're these. So I have to figure out which ones are next. Now I want to say I just print this on my printer on just normal. I think this is the second one. Now these I've read this month, but we're putting them on there because I'm already here. So that's where we're going. Okay. So now I'm going to come back to here, but I've kind of written some of these down already. So basically I'm going to just go ahead and color these. I don't think I have all of these here. So what I did here is I have these stickers. I have borrow Kindle, which means from the library. And then that is color 110. So I colored it and then I wrote the number there. And then I have money and it's on my Kindle. And that means it's Kindle Unlimited is usually what that means, because it's a paid service. Even if I'm getting it for free, like I got 1 month for free, I'm still considering it a paid service. And that's this color. And then I have audiobook borrow. Again, that's Libby from the library. I have the color there. And then audiobook paid, that's for me is going to be if I have an Audible subscription or even Spotify. Again, even if they're free, because they are paid subscriptions and maybe I just got a free trial, I'm still considering it that, just so I can, when I'm looking at this, it's all about a quick glance of where I got it from, not whether or not I paid for it or borrowed it, but whether or not it came from like a Kindle Unlimited or a Spotify, or if it came from the library. I just want to be able to do a quick glance to see, is it worth doing the paid services type thing? And then I do have a Kindle one that's a freebie, because Kindle does free ebooks at the beginning of the month, and then sometimes they do just like random like stuff your Kindle day where there's a whole bunch of free books. So that's why I have that one on there. And then physical books, which are always going to be paid, because I don't really do libraries as far as actually physically checking out a book from the library. So that's my color coding. So now I need to find all of the color codes, which I just realized they are not all here. So now I have to figure out where I've done with some of these colors. Here we go. So I think I'm good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and color these all in. If it is a half, so if I do half audio, half ebook, I will do like this. Like number 27 is split in half. And I do number them so I can keep track of it, but it also helps me because, see, I did my cheat sheet. So I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. So Kindle, so ocean. All right, there we go. So obviously I'm not trying to be all neat. I do think I'm going to switch things up next year. I have a lot of like little washi dots, and I think I'm going to just use those. That way I can just keep the washi dots together, and then I don't have to keep as many of the mile liners, brush tip pens, or whatever off to the side. I can kind of just go ahead and just keep a little roll of whatever washi dots I'm using and keep those with it. So I definitely think that's how I'm going to switch it up next year. But as you can see, it's still overwhelmingly Kindle Unlimited. That is kind of like my go-to. I have read a decent amount of books that I own. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can actually update that here. So there we go. Okay. Now I've written all of my monthlies, I think. So for the month of July, let's do this. All right. I do like this because look, in the month of July, I read 1,385 pages. In the month of August, I read 1,391 pages. Very, very close to one another. It's very interesting. I do think I want to extend this. So like, I think each year, basically when I like look ahead to my next year, which by the way, I've already been thinking about my reading journal. I really want to start setting it up if I'm not if I'm being honest. So yeah, I'm itching to set that one up. So I might start setting that up probably sooner rather than later. But I'm already thinking about like the stats, and I like most of this except, like I said, for the spice. I do like incomplete, because what that means for me, I probably need to title that differently. But what it means for me is I'm starting a book in September and then I'm carrying it over into October. So it should be on the complete list in October, but I want to account that it's a book that I read some, but it's just not counted in this tally. So I just like to have that somewhere. So I just listed it as incomplete. I probably should retitle it something else, but there are some other things that I think I want to capture because I just like my stats. I like looking at the stats. Storygraph also captures how many average days it took you to finish reading something. I kind of like that. So I think I might capture that next year. They also capture like other things that I capture on my monthly and not here, but I do like the days read. And I'm trying to, I need to kind of think about this more because I like stats. I do. Like I like stats more than I like reading reviews. Like some people prefer reading reviews in their journal. I like stats. So this I just haven't been doing. I stopped that in March and I knew I was going to stop it in March. I just don't have anything else to add here. So here I stopped with Fate and Furies. So again, I go here to figure out where that was. Oh my goodness, here. Okay, that's where I did all of this. So I have all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 14 books to add to my shelf, y'all. 14 books. Okay. Let me quickly kind of write down in order, not the titles, but the genres. So I do have the genres here, and that's how I'm color coding them, but I need to write them down. So Shadows and Storms was a romantasy. This was a fantasy. That's a romantasy. That's more of a YA romantasy, but we'll just say that. Throne of Glass, I think, is more fantasy than romantasy. Fly with the Arrow. I don't even know what to call that. What was that? That was a hot mess is what that was. I think that was a romantasy. That was a romantasy. Crown of Light and Shadows. My upside down book. This was like a thriller? Mystery. Not a thriller. Mystery. A hilarious mystery. That's Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Really fun. I did the audio of that. Love the audio. This was sci-fi, y'all. I read my first sci-fi, Heavenbreaker. Love that, by the way. This is like romantasy, fantasy, because there's trials. Frost. Was that romantasy? Gothic thriller? Grave Matter? I don't know what to count that as. These are Why Choose Romantasy, I guess. That's the hardest part for me is figuring out the genres of some of these. Because some of these, I feel like they call, I've said this over and over again, I feel like they call so many things romantasy just because that's like the hot topic right now. That's like the hot genre. But I don't really feel like a lot of them are romantasy. All right, so 110 again. This is 110. Look at that color. It looks nothing like that. We have that one. Gothic, suspense and thriller. Mystery is 161. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. I guess we'll do... I don't know about Grave Matter. It's dark. It's more horror than gothic. Maybe I should call it a suspense thriller. I'm going to call it Other. We're going to call it Other. All right, so I tried to pull the colors that I needed, and I'm missing Smoke Blue, which is Other. So I'm just going to have to leave that blank for now. All right, so all right, there we go. So what I did is I just left Grave Matters and Heaven Breaker blank because they don't have anything here. I do have a extra spot I guess I could do, but I'm gonna wait till the end to do that. And then I have a circle next to Glass Sword because that is YA, so it's a romantasy YA. And then I have squares colored in next to Savage Hope and Savage Desire because they're why I choose romantasy. I just like to separate those. And then dark is another one that I would separate. So if it's like a dark fantasy, a dark romantasy, dark romance, I like to kind of separate those two. So there we go there. So we have all this. I'm gonna have to do all of the actual star ratings off camera because I don't remember them right now. Y'all, I have not picked my favorite books for July, August, or September. How bad is that? All right. So now I'm filling in, if you could not tell, I'm filling in this. I do not recommend waiting this long to pick your favorite book of the month. However, I will say it's not like I said, I don't always recommend it. But if you have a 4 and a 4.5 star, obviously if you have a 5 star, it's probably going to be your favorite book of the month. Because for me personally, it takes me forever to give a 5 star. Like it's a lot to get a 5 star. I'll get a 4.75, but rarely a 5 star. Where's my 5 stars? Like this is all. I got one more to add, but this is all that I have for 5 stars right now. And like I've read almost 50 books. Okay, so it's very hard for me to give a 5 star. But between like a 4 and a 4.5, you would think a 4.5 would be my favorite book of the month. But a lot of times if I like wait like a month or two, I actually remember the 4 more than the 4.5. And then that kind of makes that more my favorite because like if I enjoyed them both, then I'm like, man, that 4 really had an impact on me. So sometimes I will write that as my favorite over the 4.5, if that makes sense. So sometimes like I feel like it's a disadvantage because I can't really remember what my favorite was really at the exact end of the month. But sometimes if you take a little break, it kind of changes. So like August was a little tough because it was like, is it Crown of Light and Shadows or was it Queen of Shadows? I went with Crown of Light and Shadows. I think it's because that surprised me a little bit more. I wasn't expecting much, and then I really enjoyed it. It was like one of my favorites of the year, and I think that's why. Is because I wasn't expecting much, whereas I'm like halfway now through the Throne of Glass series, so I already have high expectations, so it doesn't have as much of an impact. But with that said, A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly, that was a 5 star. So that's going to obviously be my favorite. I am hoping to read the second book this month, but which is October. But I have found a really like interesting series that is usually not always my cup of tea. But I have been flying through that series, y'all. Okay. So I am going to put this here as my 5 star reads. I have not had any DNFs. Now I have had some books that I have started reading and I haven't finished. Like I start reading it for like maybe like 5 or 10%. And then I pause it because I'm just not in the mood to read that book. But it's not like something that I technically want to DNF. So I don't put that on here. The only one I did was Peaches and Honey. That one I made it pretty far through. I don't know if I made it halfway through or not, but I made it far. Okay, so Red Queen, I know I have read 2. So this is 184. Or is it one? No, it's 177. So 184 dried out on me, so I had to change the color up. Okay, so I finished this one. Legends of Thesmar. I finished the Fae Spy Academy, and I read the second book in The Red Queen. I am now think halfway through Throne of Glass. I think I'm halfway through. Queen of Shadows. I think that was book 4. I hope that's right. Okay, there is another one that I'm reading now that I want to put on here. So we're going to do that. I think this is a different brown. Let me see if I can find a similar brown. So I'm reading the Savage 6 right now. And I'm only reading it because I needed to find a violent word for my challenge for October. I know we're talking about the 3rd quarter and October's in the 4th quarter, but just bear with me. And I was like, oh, Savage, that fits. Plus, it had a star on the cover, which also fits for a reading challenge that I need. It had like stars on it. So that was another reason why I picked it. Y'all, this book, it is like fantasy. They're in school. So it has like a school setting, supernatural. Why choose, which is usually not my thing. But oh my goodness, have I like been devouring these books? They're like 300 and some pages each. But oh my goodness, I have like literally read it in like 2 nights. So like I read a whole book in like maybe 4 hours. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. So that one's now done. Guess we'll do the same one here. Oh, I'm doing any color. And that's it. This I stopped doing. The book clubs I've just stopped doing because as I like these were from Fable. So and plus the Boo Buddies book club, is that what it is? Or the Bujo Buddies book club is the Joshi Karen one. I just didn't, some of the books just weren't my choice, so I didn't do those. But for the Fabled book clubs that I found, or Fable book clubs, I just found that they kept picking books that I had just read the month before, so I did not do that. All right. Have I read any I, P, Q, M, or J, or something like that? Let's see. Queen of Shadows. Let's do brown. I do not know if I'm going to do these next year because as you can see, I'm just going back and seeing if I read any books that fit these rather than actually picking books that fit these. All right, that's it. So now here, this one's kind of strange because I have Heaven Breaker was a cover buy. I'm going to do that one because it is a special edition as well, but that was 100% a cover buy. I remember when I bought it, it was because of the cover. I had no idea what it was about. I was just in Target, saw it and was like, this is so pretty. It has the design, like the sprayed edges. So that was, I guess it was a cover. It was a sprayed edges buy, but it's the same thing. That is the reason why I bought that. Okay. So that was definitely a cover buy. Special edition. I don't know. Snake on the cover. I think I've done a snake on the cover. Or maybe I haven't. Oh, snake. A tongue so sweet and deadly. Yay! Some of these I picked out myself, and then some of these I borrowed from like other bingo boards that I saw. Like Snake on the Cover was not something I picked myself. So yeah, I write the title of the book under it, so I know I wrote The Last Lost Girl there. All right, y'all, I am only 4 away from finishing this entire bingo board. So I already have hit bingo going this way, bingo going this way, and that's it. But I've hit bingo quite a few times. That's pretty good for something that I haven't actually gone in here to check. All right, so for September, I did do events. I did the Ash Trials because that was an actual event. So that's going to suffice for that. I also already did October. Because like I said, for October, where did I did savage. I feel like that's a very violent word. You savage. So I chose that one. There are plenty of violent words that actually are out there for in fantasy. A lot of deadly and things like that on there. More than 500 pages I will probably do. I have not done yet, but there's a couple of books that are on my TBR for this month that are going to be probably part of that. I have not done this. I'm not going to go back and do it because I have to find those like crazy worlds that to meet. Okay, Magical Readathon April. So this is just where I'm keeping a track of all of my readathons. So I'm also going to put in here I don't know where Magical Readathon April is, spring equinox, but I'll write fall equinox. And I'll put September. And now I am doing the Bewitched book challenge. Okay. Let's go back here. I have not filled this in and I didn't think about it. So I'm just going to leave this be. This was for the summer. And I think that there's some more books, but I have to like go through this and then go through this. I'm just going to do that on my own time. I have not been filling out my charts. Okay. So for June, I just have to color these in. I've already done all of that. So let's pick some blues. That looks horrible. Maybe that's why people like to use alcohol markers. This is right on me. Okay, so I need a brush marker. I can't use this. That is just hideous. All right, I'm going to use this one for the rest of them. Oh, I need another color too, though. That's okay. All right, so we did 4, which is 2. I know Joshi Corinne, she actually prints out her pie chart that's already colored in. I'm like, should I just start doing that next year? Because I'm printing out the book covers anyway. Just print out the pie charts too. I might, because this is just ugly. It's just so ugly. Okay, and then I have these that I have not updated. I cannot believe I have not updated. And at this point, I don't even know what I'm going to do. So, all right. So I decided for my review pages, all I'm going to do right now is stamp in some headers that I got from this stamp set. This stamp set actually came from Amazon, and I do have it linked in my Amazon storefront. So the headers that I chose to use were dates read, genre, format, and pages read. Now, if it's an audiobook, I'll just write the hours read and not the actual pages because I do those separately. So I will not write the pages for that. There was, I think, hours or something like that, but I didn't want to go through. I just wanted to keep stamping. I didn't want to have to think about it. It's not that big of a deal, especially considering I'm not going to probably write reviews here. I might write 1 or 2 sentences about my overall thought on the book if I can still remember it at this point. But other than that, that's pretty much all I'm going to do. I did go back and also stamp some blank stars, like 5-star blank that I can go in and color in as well. And that's going to be pretty much it for this section. All of the information is in Storygraph, so I'll just pull it from there. All right, so we did all this. So now we come to August. So I read Crown of Ashes and Light, Fly with the Arrow, and Queen of Shadows. This was supposed to be my favorites. I did not fill it out, but now I'm going to fill out everything here for August. So I only read 3 books. I'm going to color this off camera. You get the gist. I don't feel like doing that right now. All right, now I'm going to set this up. Look, I didn't do anything with this. I got to figure out if I still want to do this next year. If I want to do the calendar or not. I'm not sure, y'all. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a calendar next year. It's just a lot to come in here. I was really good at the beginning of the year, but then it's like when you fall off, and I have nothing. I mean, I did a really good job last month, but I think there were a few days that I didn't read. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to fill in everything for my Aurelium Magical Readathon. So, Frost for the rolling of the dice. And I misinterpreted that. I rolled a 3. And I thought a 3, I had to be like 300 pages. But it was supposed to be 0 to 299. So I'm going with what I thought, which was 300. And then a circle on the cover. So I did Heaven Breaker because there's a circle on the cover. So that's my conjurations. Borrow from a TBR. That one was A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly because that's like on everybody. Booktubers TBR. That's how I even knew about it. And then I was going to do Dark Blood Academy, and that was one of the ones I read, and I was like, I don't know if I could do this. It just read really, really young. So I switched to Vera Wong. It was supposed to be an illustrated cover, and that fits perfectly if I can find it because it's an illustrated cover. It's not a photograph of a person, like an actual like art photograph. So pretty much everything that's like fantasy book is going to be an illustrated cover. So I'll put that there. I'll say, okay. And then the last one was Single Point of View. And that one we're going to do Grave Matter. All right. So this is like what I read for my Magic Readathon. So my 2 for Conjuration, Spells and Incantations, and Restoration. So I did end up changing Incantations and Restorations. Those 2 books I ended up changing in the middle of the month. I did have to buy something from the store. I'll share that with you guys in a moment. Now let me go ahead and set this up really quick. All right. So I did all those. I'm going to color all this in later. I just kind of wanted to show you how I do it. Now we're going to come into here really quick. And I need to also update my fall equinox. So I have my syllabus here for the fall equinox. All right, so now it's kind of like the more fun part. That's this journal. I still need to finish this journal. Hopefully I'll finish this, finish the initial setup part, making it look cute at the by the end of this year. But we'll see if that happens. Probably not. So basically what you do is you earn I think 50 points or something like that each time you finished. Like if you finish the spring equinox, I think you got 50 points. I have a card. Let's see. Hold up. Let me not guess. Here we go. So here's a ledger and here's the rules and stuff. So basically for the 2025 spring equinox, I got plus 50 points for completing that. So for the 2025 fall equinox, I'm going to say plus 50. So now I'm at 180. However, I need a scroll of extension. So you can buy these things. So there's scroll of exchange. So if you don't like the prompt, you can exchange it for something else. Replacement. Let me see. Scroll of replacement. You don't even have to adhere to the prompt. You can read whatever you want. Closure is to DNF one. I have been using the scroll of extension a lot. So that's basically you can't finish it in time. So you just need to extend it a little bit. So it's only 10. So I'll just write scroll of extension. Do minus 10. And now I have 170 points. So there's my ledger. I can actually put this here if I want to. I don't know if that might be too much in there. Because this is like the FAQs for the Emporium. Oh no. The tape somehow stuck to it. So this tells you how to earn points and stuff. But this is like the little brochure with the how much everything is. So now I'm going to come here and Heaven Breaker. I might actually use boxes for this. I have this that has some foil boxes, and I wonder if I can do foil. It just seems like it would be fun in this book. I have a lot of foil in this book, so I kind of want to do that. So let's do that. Now here I wrote like everything, but I have that here, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just do the course. I should be able to figure out what it is because my syllabus is right here. So if I write in here, conjurations, I can just come here and see it says circle on the cover, circle on the cover. And then the next thing I have to do is borrow from another TBR. So then I know whatever one is there. This doesn't have a circle on the cover, so it has to be that one. Right. Yes, I'm getting tired, and that's the reason why I'm like spelling things wrong and everything like that. Where's the other page of this? Oh, it's on here. It's just that. Okay, so I'm putting this back in here. So I added my little scroll of extension there. I'm going to put this in the back, just stick it in the back. These are all going to go on my side of my desk for the next month. And this guy. And then there's a pet rescue. That's all I'm doing. So that's all I really need to do for this. Last time I put the like the dragons that we rescued, I put them on the page, but I just didn't really have the room over here because there's quite a few pets. I guess I could have fit them there, but I like it like that. So there we go. So that is all updated and done. The only thing I need to do here, I think that's it, because I have my Mage Hunter Apprentice. So yeah, I think I'm done. So there we go, guys. Not a complete update because I haven't colored everything in and I haven't done my reviews, but I'll kind of do them now that my book's out. I'll probably do it tomorrow or something, but I got the majority of it done. So, you know, I will say that as I start to come close to setting up for 2026 and a new reading journal, like I said, I'm itching to kind of start setting that up now because the setup is the fun part. The updating is not as fun, but the setting up is fun. I'm thinking about things that like I kind of dread when it comes to this, and I think some of those things is now this, like the actual doing of the reviews. So I think I'm going to even narrow this down even further in my new reading journal. I might do like 3 to a page or something like that. Just kind of keep the basic information and just like a sentence or two. The other thing, like I said, the calendar, I got to figure that out, whether or not I even want to do that next year. So yeah, there's going to be some decisions to make. I don't need to know that when I start to set up my journal, but it's just like as we get to the end of the year, I do start thinking more about what I enjoy about my reading journal and what I don't enjoy about my reading journal, just like as I start to think about what to include in next year's reading journal. So it's kind of interesting. Like I said, next year might be completely different. Watch me like not save enough room for reading reviews and then really want to do them next year. I mean, that's how it always goes. But right now, I'm just like, that's the part I'm dreading. I like do like a little review, like I said, on Storygraph, and then that's it. And I still do, or I still plan to do my series reviews and my series review tracker. But as far as like individual books, I just don't love doing reviews. So that's something I need to figure out about how to do next year. But I really don't have to figure that out until I do my first review come January. But just something to think about. But there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I update my reading journal and all the work that it does take, but it really is still like, once a month. If I actually kept up with it, it wouldn't take that long. I was updating 3 months. 3.5 months because I was doing some of October too. But yeah, so that's why it took me a little bit longer than it probably would have. But I need to do a little bit better of a job of staying on top of that. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of this year. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press that like button. And if you have yet to subscribe, I hope you would also consider subscribing to my channel. That's all I have for now. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night. Until next time, bye.